regular statesman of the NFL, Adam Vinatieri, set to get us started. And we are underway from the Superdome. And he'll be brought down shy of the 20, so the decision to bring it out of the end zone, not a good one. So from inside the 20, here's 1st and 10 at the 18. Out of the gun, here's Prescott, eluding the pressure right.
Talk about what people lean on quarterbacks all the time. Here's what really pays off. And the move he made and his accurate throwing up and picking up first down.
First down, Prescott. Physical play on the football there on 2nd down.
I think that was good strategy there, trying to go right back to him after the last completion. But this time, the defense was all over it, and they got there to break that one up.
So after the incompletion on 1st down, 2nd and 10. The shotgun, it's Prescott.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing?
It certainly didn't appear that that's where he wanted to go with the ball initially, so he tried to get something out of it by dumping it off to his running back unsuccessfully.
Now whistles come in. We're going to get a timeout here by the offense. They'll have 2 remaining as we step aside here in this first quarter. So now 3rd and 10, a big play to start the drive, but nothing since. And again, it's Prescott. Escaping the pressure right. He'll look down. That's inside the 20.
I just had to
In the red zone, crosses over out of bounds. An excellent pickup of 34 yards. How about the passing numbers so far on this first drive?
No doubt about it. They're moving around pretty successfully. Look at the start, the confidence level that we see in him rising because he's in a few early. How about the last one? The big shot right there.
And the Lions are going to be set up with a 1st and goal. A strong running gets them to the 9-yard line. This game not quite as good as those last, but still 40 yards between the two. They'll try for 40
Damn, so what y'all? Y'all might as well pick the nigga up and carry him in the fucking end zone.
reach the chalk, but they'll have it at the 1-yard line.
God damn. And they hitting him in the fucking backfield, but then dragging him 7-8 yards. Get the fuck out of here, man. Play, man. Play, dog. Cut it off, man. Hey, it's pointless, man. I don't even know why I still get mad at this shit, man. God, you know this shit corny, man. Just play. God damn. Shit, man, that's a big. Yeah, they hitting the nigga in the backfield, dragging the nigga 6-7 yards. In what football world? Only Madden.
That's a touchdown pass to kick it away. Tyler Lockett down to return. And he'll get it up across the 20 to the 21-yard line.
To return. The Seahawks take over 1st and 10. At their own 21-yard line.
My defense just come out there and just straight play like trash, man. Like, shit just crazy, man. God damn. Everybody getting burnt.
Rodgers now on 1st down. He tries to give it to Metcalf, but it's intercepted.
Sorry, let's go.
running, then you get the interception. Just
that's the discipline they showed defense, because after the offense scored to go up 7-zip, you would think they might be a little extra aggressive trying to get back out. Instead, they read their keys well. They took the shot downfield. They were more than prepared for that one.
And they'll wind up giving this one all the way down inside the 20. Just like that, a pickup of 20 on their first play from scrimmage.
The defense put pretty good pressure on him. He's flushing onto his right and trying to bait people. On the run, had to get on his horse. Still accurate when he throws a nice pass for a first down.
First and 10, Prescott. Trying to get it to Jackson, and it's intercepted. Picked up by the full family line. He's at the 40, the 20. And he will take this one home. It's a touchdown. That's the danger of getting outside of the pocket, extending a play and making a bad throw turns into 6 points the other way.
Yeah, sometimes when you get outside the pocket, your vision actually gets obscured a little bit, or you narrow it down too much, and you don't see all the defenders in the area.
It's up and good. So these teams match touchdowns here in the first quarter, and we're tied 7-7. So leave it at 7 now as they kick it away. Take it in the end zone. And this is going to bring it out. Not a good one as he's tackled at the 15.
The conventional football 101 tells us if you don't get it back to the 20-yard line on kickoff return, that's a disappointment. But these teams coaches, Will Gruden, the head coach, they give them full authority to go ahead and bring it out and try to be aggressive. Almost what we call the green light, red light. Green light means go, red light means stop. He said he had green on that play.
Moving to his right. And he'll look downfield. Oh, this is taken in. It's complete. And he's going to be out around the 45-yard line. They're nearly 30 yards, 20 to finish officially. Prescott from the gun. He's going to go up top again. This is going to be intercepted. Picked off inside the 10. And a big turnover there as his guys will get the football back.
The game's pretty simple, and it's fairly obvious, isn't it? He's got to start making better decisions with the ball.
That's now 2 interceptions in the first quarter. After interception number 1, there was a long talk on the sideline. And now he's made another mistake.
Yeah, he's just been kind of laying these passes out there. He's kind of been floating them a little bit. He's got to be more decisive in his reads, and definitely more decisive when they're on the ball. Letting it in there every now and then.
They'll start the drive with Harris. And he will take this up to about the 8-yard line. Give him 3 on first down. It'll set up a 2nd and 7.
And that's frustrating for a defense because they've got him pinned down deep. And on the first play, they give up a run that keeps an offense on schedule.
It's 3 to 4 yards. That's all you're looking for.
That's absolutely perfect, really. It's a play call. You get 3 to 4 yards on first down. That's what they call it about us all the time. Being ahead of the chains or on target, ahead of schedule. They were after that run.
Calling a gain of a couple, and that's going to leave them with a 3rd and about 5. Throwing is Rodgers. Finding Harris under the middle. And he is going to have a sequence first down as he's able to get 8 yards there on 3rd and 5. It's a gain of 8, and it'll wind up moving the chains. It's Rodgers. The first pitch of the game for George Kittle. And they nearly get this all the way to midfield. Bring him down at the 49. Now a second timeout called for going by the defense. So if they take it over, we step aside. The big play has them all the way out near midfield for first and 10. Shotgun now for Rodgers. This one into the hands of Kittle, the tight end. They'll go down, but not before getting this inside the 30. Back-to-back receptions for him. That's another first down.
That's the end of the first quarter.
7-7, our score after one. So the Bulldogs into Lion territory now. Here's first and 10 as they're down to the 29-yard line. Along with Harris out of the shotgun. It's a 6-yard gain on the ground, and that'll make it 2nd and 4.
That play wasn't quite as big as the play that preceded it, but still, down left way to move the football play.
Absolutely, pretty good room to run on that last play.
And they didn't get first down, but still, you'll take runs like that each and every time, won't you?
On 2nd down and 4, Rodgers. Now they set up the screen. That's complete. And able to get him down, but he does reach the 5. 18 yards that time to push him up 1st and goal. That's now 4 completions in a row. A good bounce back following the interception last drive.
Certainly not letting it affect him, that's for sure. See the big trick? Don't let it affect you going forward. Most of good quarterbacks, they just tell the ball boy, get that one out of the rotation, give me a fresh ball, and let's go. He's getting his offense here again.
They'll try and run for us 1st and goal. And the Seahawks are going to be set up with a 1st and goal. They couldn't quite reach the chalk, but they'll have it at the 1-yard line. Defensively, they must have been expecting a pass. They run a dime look out there.
Maybe they were deciding to go with speed on the field rather than bulk. I'm with you. A little bit surprising. They want to be getting to the ball as fast as possible. The lighter shift your defensive backs allow you that opportunity.
And he is in for the Seattle touchdown. The Seahawks have taken the lead. And when a smaller guy can't power it across the goal line, Charles, sometimes you need to go to the field after they did. It worked.
What's that thing about force, mass, how's that?
Yeah, force equals mass times acceleration.
Oh, that's big time stuff. That's the same thing that the Apple Trump says.
There's been a Terry now, the kick it away after the touchdown. And a fair catch signal for him, taken successfully.
The Lions take over first and 10 at their own 25-yard line.
The Lions offense ready to kick off their next drive. That 7-0 lead in there is short-lived as they now give up 2 straight touchdowns to fall behind 5-7.
Yeah, but no cause for discouragement here. Yeah, they've fallen behind, but haven't they proved that they can down and score? So what was the formula to get them down there the first time? Get back to something close to that. Maybe they get this game tied up.
From the 30 on 2nd down, Prescott.
At this point, after the press with the work defensively, they have now allowed a lot of receivers to run free. And there's another example, another incompletion.
They come up now 3rd and 5 following the incomplete pass. Here's Prescott. And Prescott, his 3rd interception.
Yeah, I seen something. Ring cross. What the fuck was that? My career.
All right, so the challenge is laid out in front of you. Can you complete it? We're about to find out. Solo challenge and ultimate team time. Let's go.
Oh shit. You saw me. Yeah.
That's what it was. I know these guys watch our show. I know you're a friend of Ty Lue. I know he criticizes you when you get a little too hard and you're down on the Clippers. So my position has always been, if I crush them, they will overcome.
See, I thought you were going to go a different direction. Leave Brandon on camera if you could. I thought you were going to go the Brandon Marshall that abandoned the Clippers. That was hair tied back, tight brain Brandon Marshall. This is now free and loose. Hey, I'm going to be my true self, Brandon Marshall. Forget the corporate censors trying to get me to put my hair back. This is you're getting House of Athlete podcast, Brandon Marshall. I'm going to give you the real. I never fell out of love with the Clippers. That's where I thought you were going to go. Instead, you went motivational sports and strategic. All right, let me say this about Paul George, who Kevin Wildes, our dear friend Kevin Wildes, has been trying to do a one-man campaign nationally for give Paul George his credit, give him his love, stop picking on Paul George.
Let's go early.
The single greatest playoff game of Paul George's career. And previous to last night, the single greatest playoff game of Paul George's career happened a week and a half ago.
That change your direction. Back this way.
In Utah, when everyone thought the Clippers were dead in the water, when it was announced Kawhi was out, he was spectacular. He was even better last night. This postseason, despite all the injuries, we have had a half dozen iconic performances. Dame's 55-point game, Kawhi's Game 6 against the Mavs, Luka's Game 5 against the Clippers, Games 5 and 7 from KD, Game 7 from Giannis. Paul George's game last night is right in line with those performances. Not quite the KD or Giannis games, but damn close. And it was for a guy who, in this series, I laid it out yesterday, was shooting 35% to not only do what he did, but do it as efficiently as he did it, was a remarkable turnaround from a team, from a player on a team who's had nothing but remarkable turnarounds. And I know we're going to talk about, the big picture stuff, but in the minutiae, there were a couple minutes in this game, moments in this game, whiles where it looked like, okay, this is where the Suns have walked them down and are going to take over. The Suns took a 62-61 lead early in the third. How did the Clippers respond? 10-0, boom. The Suns then, late in the fourth, after being down by 13, got it to 98-94. And before you knew it, the Clippers were back up by 14. So every time they had to answer, every time that crowd in Phoenix Wild was ready to explode and have the coronation of the final four, the Clippers answered. And almost every time Paul George was right at the center of it.
Good call.
So he deserves massive credit. Massive credit for how he played yesterday and for the fact that his team
I thought somebody was coming on the back end. Good call. That was on me. Yeah, that was on me.
Paul George fan club. And granted, I'm getting a lot of letters in, but right now it's just me. So we've got plenty of room on the Paul George fan. And there is a rule to being on the pepper game. I'm with you. Don't forget about me. You got several memberships scattered throughout the league. So sure, we'll invite you to put you on the board. A lot of conflicts of interest, but it's okay. All right, so here's the first thing about the Paul George fan club. You have to acknowledge just the truth. And Boogie Cousins was like, I don't know where this is coming from. You're ripping one of the greats. Like, okay, well, it's coming from the fact that the most games shooting 25% or worse in the playoff history of the NBA, Paul George got 11. Now, the plus side of that is there's a lot of guys also on that list who are great who are there. Russ is on it, Harden's on it, Iverson's on it, Timmons on it. Like, sure, Paul George is sort of the king of the mountain. So there is some warranted criticism. So that's been addressed. However, Nick, look at this graphic of some great players who are putting up 20 points, 18 straight games. Paul George, it's Durant, it's Kobe, and Jordan. Now look, am I swinging the pendulum pretty far? Yes, obviously. But I'm trying to make a point. The Paul George criticism is unwarranted in its extremes. And Brandon, I know you said it's traditional media. I think it's mostly social media. I think people like getting their jokes off and look around for targets. It's like, let's take shots at Paul George.
Probably right there.
Guy is playing great. The question is, if he can win these next two games, I think they have to bury all the way up these stuff. And they can pull it off. I don't know if they can.
Well, you can.
But come back and back and back.
But you can. It would be a part of. It's a part of his story. It's like LeBron James, right? Like the first couple years before, he went down to Miami, took his talents to Miami. We can't ignore that, and that will be a part of his story. He needed more help. And that's the same thing for Paul George. This will be a part of his story. But before we go, Nick, I just want to say great job to Ty Lue. So all this talk about Paul George, you got to look at the people surrounding him. So on one end, he talked about his sports psychologist in the bubble. So they're working on things there. And then you got a guy like Ty Lue, who Paul George acknowledged last night. He basically came to me and said, F them, talking about the haters. And so there's guys that give you tough love. And Ty Lue seems to be one of those guys that's willing to cross the line whenever he has to get his guys to move. Whether it's LeBron James or if it's PG-13. He's telling this dude, F them, go. And you saw it last last night, there was moments in the game where Paul George tried to fade away and let others get involved, and you see Ty Lue yelling and screaming out like, "Go get the ball! The offense is going through you." So shout out to Ty Lue for just being a phenomenal motivator and coach, man.
And that's not even to mention the X's and O's adjustments. They lose another guy, a starter who had just Zubats played the most minutes of his career in Game 4 or Game 3, one of the 2 games, and all of a sudden he's right before the game scratched, and Ty Lue finds the adjustment. With Greg Popovich, almost notwithstanding, Greg Popovich is the best coach in the league emeritus. He just gets that title until he retires. Ty Lue has a really strong argument that he's next man up. Eric Spoelstra's got an argument. There's a couple other guys. But Ty Lue is making a case this postseason. Kerr certainly has an argument. Like, there's a handful of guys. But Ty Lue, after having to sing for his supper to even get a coaching job after he left Cleveland, he is now, without question, one of the 5 best coaches in basketball and in the argument for the best coach in basketball.
Nick Wright, the only man in America to use minutiae and emeritus in the same segment. Love you, buddy, so much. All right, let's switch to the East. What is the injury to Trae Young? Let's talk about Giannis. Things first, Tuesday morning.
I'm going to surprise people on this one, I think.
From WWE Thunderdome, the rated R Superstar Edge is backing out for vengeance on Roman Reigns. Plus, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in a last man standing match. It's an all-new Friday Night SmackDown live at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Hot 5.
Let's get it.
Your mom has hosting a lot since she got that phone call. Every day, here's a comment. We stand. Oh, Mom, you're so loud. More phones? More burns. Another beer or something different?
How about this super filling IPA? You want it dark, aged with milk.
I'm gonna be in ginger highball.
Old Trapper Beats, tough snacks. Out here, you gotta be tough. My truck, my crew, they're tough. Old Trapper, talking to value, tender. Old Trapper, what's your deal?
Can we even afford this?
I'm pretty sure we can. Pretty sure. Rocket Monkey can be selling. What's the difference? I'm pretty sure he just needs to ride to the airport. When you need to be certain of how much home you can afford, Rocket get him.
Jake from State Farm, I knew it.
I got to break the chain. Why can't y'all the chain?
Just like State Farm, surprisingly great rates. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
What are y'all doing? What are you doing? What the fuck are y'all doing? I'm in a man-to-man. What the hell are they doing? I told you that was getting crazy, man. What the fuck are y'all going in for?
Means paying for something.
Wow. Okay. Alright. I don't know what the fuck the defense doing, man.
Simply because the neighbor is very hard.
Wow.
Are you identified? This is about more than just keeping a card safe. It's about
Alright, EA. You want me to let him score? Hey, he's scoring. Fuck it. Yeah, man. It's over, man. I'm sick of this game. This shit is just the most annoying video game in the world, man.
In as little as 30 minutes.
But it's okay. It's okay. It's alright.
Why did I do it? Because I love the challenge. I do it for the beer.
Perfect bite. Marco. These others get it.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S., and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-300-7914. That's 1-800-300-7914. Or go to mesobook.com.
Okay, good news. Studio Fox's Monday Animation. Would you write me a prescription for some sexual healing?
As we've discussed, I don't write prescriptions.
Mark, how's you covered?
Give me a little fa-boom and a little fa-bang.
You can watch House from
Highly recommend.
And don't get good anytime.
Thanks for coming up, being famous.
Fox Animation Domination Continuation. All new Mondays on Fox and watch anytime on Fox Net or Hulu.
On Saturday, the last two World Series champs collide. Mookie Betts and the Dodgers take on Juan Soto and the Nationals. We get Red Sox taking on the A's. Saturday, 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Time out for a little bit first. And Brandon, you're talking to Demaryius Thomas retiring as a Bronco.
Yeah, Demaryius Bebe Thomas announces his retirement Monday, yesterday. After 10 years in the National Football League, a 4-time Pro Bowler. Absolutely love this kid. When you heard his story coming in when he was a rookie, everyone fell in love with Bebe. And this dude came in and overcame the obstacles, all the obstacles thrown in front of him. And he was above average. You saw his shirt that he wore in his announcement, sitting in his living room on Twitter. And that's exactly who he is. And when I think of him, I think about being above average. Look, we saw him perform on the big stage in some key moments. This game right here, this was a slant. This was the opening play of overtime. Tim Tebow throws him a slant. He takes it 80 yards and they advance to the AFC Championship over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two-time AFC champion, Super Bowl 50 champion, and he was so instrumental in those historical runs, those historical offenses with Peyton Manning. We're talking about a couple years where he was that centerpiece, opening up for Aaron Decker, opening up for their big tight end, opening up for everyone else. Nick, I absolutely love this guy, but the thing that stands out the most was his career path. You know, starting with Denver. I was drafted in Denver 2006, and then he ended with the Jets, pretty much. So absolutely love Demaryius. Congratulations, buddy.
I love it. Brandon, and by the way, at the end, he had the same career path as me. That's got to be worth bonus points. Add that to it. Started with the Broncos, ended with the Jets. Yeah, except he got to the Peyton Manning along the way. Something a little different. Well, it's a little different because he didn't get to play with Peyton Manning. But yeah, congrats to Demaryius. Amazing career, Jim. Amazing. Great game.
Brandon, apparently. Hey, guess who's not a two-sport athlete? Fabio Quartararo, not a two-sport athlete. One sport athlete, yes. He just won the Dutch MotoGP motorcycle race at the Cathedral over the weekend. 350 kilometers per hour hairpin turns. One sport he has nailed. But put a driver in his hands and he hit a golf ball and then he can't. I'm not talking distance here. I'm just looking for contact. Just hit the ball. But you can't blame the guy. In his defense, two-sport athletes are hard to come by. I mean, there have been a couple, football and baseball. Yeah, Bo Jackson, basketball and baseball. Okay, MJ. Baseball and basketball again. No, barely. Motorcycle racing and golf. Yeah, sorry, Fabio. It doesn't count as a two-sport athlete.
Nobody watches this. Nobody watches this. He just wanted you to talk about him, so whether he hit the ball or not, he got the job done. You are talking about him.
But you missed the point. The story is that Jen only did this so she could reach her dating age quota for June. It's the end of the month. Yeah, in Utah. Yeah, he's doing his move in Utah. It'll be great. And she just had to find a way to get it in. before the end of the month.
Well, that was
It's outrageous. All right, so Ben's skipping the Olympics. So I'm going to start this take with the odd declaration that I hope I'm 100% wrong. Spoiler alert, I'm not. This is an awful decision from Ben that hampers his development, doesn't help it. We know that Ben needs a few things to work on his shot and sort of get to the next level of his career. One, he just needs straight up development, right? You need time in the gym. Olympics, check. Two, he needs to showcase his shot. Besides just rebuilding the shot, he needs to be on the world stage and get through the crisis of confidence that we have. There's nothing better than the Olympic stage for that, to get over any stage fright you have.
Oh, keep that!
And number three, Dwight Howard said this, and I believe him. When Dwight Howard's like, hey, you gotta show this guy some love. The Australian national team is the most supportive group of guys you could possibly get. Take a listen to Patty Mills here.
So that's the number one fact, one characteristic of our group is how we support each other. Do the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it may be. Ben isn't an exception to that. So no matter what his decisions are and what he does, myself as well as everyone on the team and in this circle will continue to support him now and in the future, because this is a safe place.
I mean, it couldn't get any better of a guy than Patty Mills. I am begging Ben Simmons to reconsider. Not only because I put 10 grand on the Boomers to medal, that's not it. I actually want what's best for Ben. And the other thing, last thing, the fact that this team is going to be fantastic. You got Patty Mills, you got Joe Ingles, you got Dellavedova, you got Batista's going to play. Patty Mills will do most of the ball handling, so that's going to free Ben up and force him to make plays and take shots. I'm telling you, the tape is all good until the end. And you're like, oh, this team's going to be outstanding, featuring Patty. They're going to be good. No, it's not. No, they're not.
Watch out,
you had a great take, and then you
accent-wise. Accent-wise. Yeah. Time to play a little retweet or delete. Pretty self-explanatory here. Start with some Bucks Hawks. Trae Young listed as questionable for tonight's Game 4. Just the latest star guard to go down against Milwaukee this postseason after both Kyrie and James Harden also missed significant time. So, Brandon, are you retweeting or deleting the idea that Giannis' title run is less impressive given all his opponent's injuries?
I'm going to delete this as fast as possible, as fast as I can. Listen, if you know, you know. This is a part of the sport. This is a part of the game, right? And it's guys go down, guys get banged up. And the greats find a way to compete at a high level when they're dealing with something. You hear me talking about this all the time. So yes, it sucks to see KD go down and all these other guys go down, AD, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, how many times have we seen this in all those sports? So I'm not going to take away from Giannis, and I'm not going to take away from Chris Middleton and Bud. Absolutely not. It's a part of sport. So you got to deal with it. I don't know if it's just one of those things just happen, or if I don't know if it's a thing where they're not doing what they need to do in the off season. And I'm not talking about KD or AD or any individual person. I'm just talking about athletes. Handle your business so you can create longevity in your career and be there for your team. If you're not doing that already.
Which, by the way,
so delete.
Which is, by the way, something Giannis has done. I'm going to retweet this, but tell you it actually doesn't matter. So here's the thing. I do think people are going to potentially look at these finals. Let's just assume it's Suns-Bucks. Say, Bucks went 7 against the Nets, and they were shorthanded. The Suns had Kawhi go down. Jamal went down before the playoffs. AD went down. LeBron wasn't right. So in the moment, this will be a thing. But let's assume Giannis wins the title, Wilds. The reason I think it'll be irrelevant is one thing we have seen throughout NBA history is great players often take a leap after after winning the title. Kobe was 21 points per game, won a title, and then the next year in the playoffs was 29. LeBron wins his first title in 2012. The next year, almost unanimous MVP, almost Defensive Player of the Year, and they had a 27-game winning streak. Steph wins his title. The next year is unanimous MVP. They win 73 games. So through hook or crook, who cares how they win it? I truly believe if the Bucks win the title, Miles, you are going to actually see a better, freer, more empowered Giannis. I think the best version of Giannis I've ever seen would or a Giannis that says, you know what, I've proven everything, right? Or the other option is go the other way. Don't need a shot. I can do this every time down the court. I got nothing to do with you guys, and just work on his free throws. And so either way, Wild, I think you're going to see a better Giannis. So I do think in real time, people will be like, yeah, but if he wins another one, it won't matter. And if he wins another MVP, it won't matter.
Okay, so I'm going to delete it aggressively. I just don't care about injuries on the other team. You don't get to choose your opponents. You don't get to choose your opponent's health. Nick, I'm going to throw it back to you quick because I know we've got America's favorite baseball segment coming up in 30 seconds. If Giannis doesn't win, if he just gets to the finals and loses, do you think he will have the same jump next year?
No. I think it is actually even more pressure. Because it's like, we had this opportunity, guys were hurt, we didn't win. No, I think it's a 1 or nothing type of thing, Jim.
How do you aggressively delete? Are you hitting it hard? Or is there emotion behind it?
Yes.
Time for Wild, Weird, and Wonderful. Kyle Schwarber continues to punish pitchers. He crushed 2 home runs against the Mets last night. That's 15 home runs for the National Slugger in the last 17 days. I don't do math, but that's a lot of home runs in a lot of days. What else you got?
In a little days. Oh, we'll start with the weird Giants, Dodgers, bottom of the 8th. Mookie Betts.
I said I don't do math,
Sometimes you can tell how athletic someone is outside the normal course of play. This is when you know, Mookie Betts is fantastic. The announcer will also mention that he can bowl 300 games. It's just amazing play. Moving on to the wonderful 2 cool things that the Yankees did, not counting the pitcher who vomited. First off, Kevin Durant and Rich. Hey,
where the fuck are y'all going?
Kevin Durant. And then what
Why are y'all going back so far? Nobody's even there yet.
First hit at Yankee Stadium.
God damn, this shit trash.
Win, take that, Babe Ruth. And Ohtani pitches tonight at the stadium. Stay tuned. And finally, the weird Mets national, Don Newman, hits into the shift. I don't even know what position you call this. Back to right field. And the slide. Here's what I like about this play. As I said, I like it that you're able to slide up first and just go past the base. It's sort of a continuation thing. That's enough to losing to the Nationals, and that's the weird and wonderful from the National pastime general. Beautiful.
Straight rocks for the Mets. Back to the NBA now, and do not look now, but the Clippers are right where they want to be. I'm being totally serious. First things first, we'll have that right at
Looking for the home of your dreams? Show sellers you're serious with a streamlined pre-approval on Credible.com. Answer a few questions and get qualified in just 3 minutes. Start your home search confident about what you can afford and be ready to make the most competitive offer. Getting pre-approved doesn't impact your credit score, and we do not sell your data. So you won't get
Give me that.
calls and emails from others. Visit Credible.com and get your pre-approval today.
These aren't your normal nachos.
Give me that.
Seasoned beef and the Lawrence Street for just $5. It deserves a name. Something great. Oh, Grande. It's the $5 Grande nacho. Only at Taco Bell.
Had to buy every shade, Rashida?
That's it. Tiny baby dolphin.
To really remote resort, Rashida?
Not remote enough, apparently.
The new City Custom Cash Card is different. It automatically adjusts so you can earn cash back where your spending is trending.
After being locked in asphalt for years, we've finally done it. Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar. Roush?
So is this why you never texted back?
Yes, that's why.
I would have understood. Oh, it's perfect.
I know. I made it.
We made it.
We made it.
She made it. Group pride. She made it.
This is the guy.
The season you deserve is finally here.
Is this one of your State Farm commercials?
Yeah, sure is. Chris smiles and says, "Wow, love State Farm's surprisingly great rates." Then suddenly his body turns into a basketball.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Icy hot. Ice works fast. He makes the best. Contrast together. So you can rise from there. Icy hot.
Your mom's been posting a lot since she got that phone from Cricket. Every day, you comment, "We stand." Oh, beautiful mom. More phone, more fun.
Justin Jefferson there. But now it's third down.
Well, so far in this drive, they've done some good work. They force incompletions on first and second down, bring up 3rd and 10. That brings up the question. Do they bring pressure?
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles everywhere. Wow. And you can use them on any travel purchase. And you can earn up to 100,000 bonus miles in the first year. What's in your wallet?
That's a Jefferson downfield. He rifles one. It's intercepted.
Let's get it, baby.
Much better. Old Trapper, what's your beef?
Fuck that Super Bowl all up.
From head to body, every tool, Dan? Honest question. Do you know what this does to making the most of his gym membership, Dan?
I'm here for moral support. You're doing great, Tammy.
The new City Custom Cash Card automatically adjusts
So we fucked that Super Bowl all up. That was that Super Bowl.
Season beef on a large drink for just $5. It deserves a name with some something grand. A grande. It's the $5 grande nachos. Only at Taco Bell.
First Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
I probably would play the full version and be like, man, this shit different. Yeah. As soon as I didn't even never go back. Yeah, as soon as I switched, I'm straight playing the 5 version. I don't want to play that.
The last 2 rounds.
That dude's corny.
Once again,
Remember when I was in the players lounge and dude kept trying to like, remember that shit kept loading? I'm like, why the fuck the PS4 version is not supposed to be on the 5? And the whole time he on the 4.
Here is playoff P after the win.
They were just going to finish this series off. They was going to have to work for it. And that was just the mentality we came into this. We wasn't going to back down. We wasn't just going to throw in the towel. The fact of the matter is, they got to beat us.
I think we're ready to go for Game 6. That's a tough loss for us at home. With a chance, to clinch to the NBA Finals. So, we'll be ready.
All right, Nick. Is it possible that we wrote off the Clippers too soon yet again?
Well, listen, the we is an important article there or pronoun, because on this show we have a sports bigamist in Brandon Marshall. So Brandon Marshall is going to, on the weekends, the 1st and 3rd of the month, go over to the Suns family, tell the kids and everyone how beautiful and awesome they are. And then the 2nd and 4th weekends of the month, he's there coaching Little League with the Clippers. And he's like, no, you're my boy, you're my boy. And you just hope they never end up running into each other. So I can't even look Brandon in the eye on this topic, because he's going to be like, write him off? No, I've always loved him, except for, those times I said it's over. Here's where I want to focus.
Nick,
and
time out, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on.
Time out.
Before you get in, let me respond to that. All right, because I learned from you. I think it was the Lakers we were talking about, or I forget what team it was. But anyways, the point is this. There was a moment where one of your teams was struggling, and you went out there, you abandoned them, you threw them to the side, you said it was over, pretty much. That's what you pretty much said. And then all of a sudden they came back, they got it done, and you said that was the plan all along. That's what I meant to do. I'm trying to inspire my team.
Luka. That's right. Okay, I did do that with Luka.
There you go. So I learned from you.
Once again, right, that is a perfect example because Luka is a part of my secret family. He's my large adult Slovenian son. I didn't have him with my wife. We only talk about it on this show. Luckily, she doesn't watch. It's my secret family. Like, you have a secret son's family. All right, but while I let Brandon stew in his disloyalty to the Clippers, I want to throw something in the wild because I still think the Suns are going to win this series. But here is my concern. How nervous do you think, Wilds, right now, Chris Paul is? And how nervous are those young guys who all look up to him, who all know the story, who all know that last night was supposed to be Chris Paul's moment? The greatest player to never make the finals finally makes the finals. And you heard Chris Paul, if people stayed up to watch at the end of Game 4, the post-game interview, where Rachel brought up 3-1. He's like, I don't want to hear about 3-1. He knows it. He also knows that not only is this his best chance to make the... It wasn't a joke. He was totally serious. And he knows not only is this his best chance to make the finals, it might be his last chance to make the finals. And you have the Game 5 at home. You have a lead, even though it's only 1 point lead in the second half. You'll end up getting, semi-blown out. Then you go to L.A., where the Clippers will be favored. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, boy, what if we're in a Game 7? Who's more comfortable in that Game 7? These Clippers, who have been facing elimination for 6 weeks, seemingly 3 times a week? Or the Suns, who thought this was going to be over? So I still think the Suns are going to win. They're healthier. They're more rested. I think they're better. But the pressure scale is ratcheted all the way up on Phoenix. And I think the Clippers are on a bit of a free roll, which does change things a bit.
All right, so here's the thing. Don't you think just emotionally that this is playing out more storybook for Chris Paul? Like, this is the last sort of dragon of the video game level that he needs to come back from a slay the 3-1 monster that he was always kind of scared of. He's like, and he got closer and closer and closer. He still doesn't look 100% right, like he did pre-COVID, and even then he wasn't 100% right, like with shoulder. So I think we're seeing sort of a version of Chris Paul that he's sort of trying to figure it out. But Nick, to me, this has to be like Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton doing a little bit more to help Chris Paul. It's got to be a little bit of a team, more of a team effort. I'll tell you who's not nervous if you listen to those post-game interviews, like Monty Williams. Monty Williams, after they lost the other game, he's like, all right, we'll come back. I'm like, okay. Next game, last night he was like, we can't just have the show-up mentality. He hasn't really pressed the panic button, I don't think. But I think you are right that the Clippers feel like, Ty Lue, been there, done that. Let's just keep coming back. If Paul George can still have monster performances, I guess they get it done. But I'm with you. I still believe in the Suns.
And because of the Kawhi injury, I think the Clippers know even if we lose, no one's going to criticize us. We've had a successful season. Sure. So, Brandon, I know you probably want to talk about the Clippers, so do both here if you would. I just want to ask you a question as the guy who's been in the locker room. Can you ever feel pressure on behalf of a teammate, whether it's a guy going for a record or a streak, or you know that he's at the end of his career and you've got a lot of time left? Like, is that a thing where Booker and Ayton are going to feel not only pressure for themselves, but on behalf of CP3? I want your take on that, and then do your Clippers victory dance.
That's a great question, Nick. It's almost as if you know me. That's exactly where I was going to go. When you start talking about the pressure the other guys may be feeling, I was thinking about my 21 catches, my NFL record, playing with the Denver Broncos in 2010. We're up in Indy. I got Cal Orton leading us. He's at the helm. He's our quarterback. Long story short, I'm sitting around 19. I had no clue what was going on. I had Kenny McKinley, God rest his soul. He came up to me, sat next to me. He's like, Brandon, do you know what's going on? I said, no. He said, you have 19 catches. You're about to break the NFL record. And I looked at him and said, man, why didn't you tell me that when I was at 15 or 16? And then he said, all right, don't worry about it. Go get the record. So anyways, I go up to Josh McDaniels, and I'm like, Coach, did you know this? He said, absolutely. He said, we're going to get you the record. So anyways, I caught a ball. So it made it 20, and now it's time to break the record. And Coach called a little bubble screen, Nick. This is literally like a five-yard pass, okay? Nothing could go wrong. Cal Orton dirted it. He threw it right in the dirt. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? It's third down. You threw the ball in the dirt. I said, now we have one more opportunity left. So I always go back to that moment when I'm talking about guys performing at a high level when the game's on the line, because Cal Orton, that moment, he understood the importance of that play for me, and then also what that could do for my career, and he threw it in the dirt. And so, yes, Ayton and Booker, it looked like last night they were carrying that pressure. They are the most complete and most balanced team in the NBA, and they've been that the entire year. Why don't you guys go out there and play your game? And CP3, a lot of it has to do with him as well. He went out there and he was just the CP3 we saw all year. This dude has greatness in him, and we know that. This was a time for him to be aggressive,